Hello, and welcome to the Creative Venture Podcast. This is the podcast where I talk to successful and aspiring creatives to better understand how they've achieved their success. Today, I'm talking to the incredible Indi Brodley, an audio engineer and music producer working under the brand Indi Productions. She's worked with talent like the Voice finalist Leah McFall, featured in Music Tech magazine, and works frequently on West End shows for venues like the National Theatre. We have a wonderfully honest chat discussing the world of becoming a freelancer, overcoming self-doubt when starting out, and I learn a little bit about Indi's African land snails. I really hope this can help you. I know I found it very valuable. So all this and more coming up on the Creative Venture Podcast. Hello, Indi.
Hello, Mark.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
No worries.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, actually.
Yeah,
so
ages. But
yeah,
it's all good.
It's good to be with you.
Thank you.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about what it is you do, and then also maybe preface audio engineering, music production and stuff for people that might not be aware what it is.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm sound engineer, music producer. I kind of split my time between theatre and recording. So I've more recently started working at the National Theatre in London and a show in the West End. And last year I converted a barn into a little studio for me, which we are in right now.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
There's some good vibes in here.
Aesthetically pleasing. That's what I like. Yeah, so I kind of dip into a bit of everything in terms of production. It's obviously in theatre. When I'm working in London, I look after all the radio mics on shows or whatever job they want me to do. And then theatre in Oxford, I tend to mix all the shows there. And then in what I call the barn, I do some video editing. I record singers and musicians here and mix music that I get from clients. So I've got an album on the go at the minute, which is going well. Yeah.
This is what I really like. I mean, you're a proper creative of many talents.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a difficult thing, like spinning all these plates. But for people that maybe are listening that have some experience with music production or that's what they want to do, just tell us a little bit about like how you got started.
Okay, so I've always been musical. I'm a cellist as well. I started playing the cello when I was 6 years old and then picked up piano and flute and a variety of other instruments.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I always wanted to do at uni. I was like, I'm going to go and do music. And then my school they built a new music blog for lots of money. And then I did music tech A-level and got more into production. And I was like, this is great. Like learning what's actually behind songs. And the idea of like Simon Cowell intrigues me. Because he just like, I don't know, has this massive empire of the music industry. And that's kind of what I always wanted to aspire to. Just like be in the industry in some way. Mm-hmm. And for me, production, I just felt a little bit closer to that, I guess.
That was the way in.
Yeah. And so I did music tech and music A-level. But I was doing more production stuff and I wasn't really performing as much. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I have no idea what I want to do at uni. I enjoyed media, of which what is media? Media's everything these days.
Things, yeah.
Yeah. So I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to go to a proper uni. The idea of that just didn't appeal to me. And then I found a course 5 minutes away from my house. And it was a degree in 2 years in audio production. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, live at home. Save money, whatever. So I did that, got a degree in 2 years in audio production, and then they offered me a job there, nice. Looking after all the studios and helping the students and stuff. So I worked there part-time as well as freelancing, and then I left there in October 2017 to enter the freelance world.
Yeah, man.
And then have been officially self-employed ever since.
Yeah. And congratulations.
Thank you.
It looks like you're doing really well and everything.
Trying to.
Yeah, no, you're keeping busy. It's good. And it's a hard
Very.
It's a hard life.
Yeah.
So, oh man, there's so many like things that I want to sort of put a pin in.
Yeah.
I'm really interested though in like your sort of journey and how you went to learn about audio engineering. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know you said that you went through like an educational background
Yeah.
from college, studying
Yeah.
media, go through to uni,
Yeah.
pick up those skills. But I mean, like for you, how did you feel you really sort of got
I
down
was
to learning?
very fortunate in my upbringing and the school that I went to.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great studio that was built and a massive theatre, because when we did the shows and stuff, I used to be in the show band playing the cello, and then I moved to doing all the radio mics and mixing the shows and
Nice.
stuff. So for me, it was very fortunate in the facilities and the people that were there, because there were only 3 of us who were doing music tech,
Okay, well,
and it was only me that kind of wanted to actually go and do it. So all the time, it was basically like one-on-one tutoring for me. And I literally lived in that studio. I was there at like 7, half 7 every day.
so would you
Just
say, I mean, if I'm to use the word passion, which, you know, is
Yeah,
an overused one, but would that sum it up, would you say?
That's literally all I cared about.
And from what sort of age did you start having that drive to want to just engineer, listen to things, mess around with things?
I mean, it wasn't until I was like 16 until I started music, like technology, because I just didn't know. I didn't know anything about it. I've always been intrigued by how things work, and I loved IT, and when in all ICT lessons and stuff, I was always the little geek in the corner.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because it accumulates so many skills.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this recently. My background's in IT.
Yeah.
And when I first came into music technology, it sort of combines all of these things
Yeah.
that you already know, but
Yeah.
you didn't realise. You're like, oh, wow, like
Yeah.
all these things go together, which is
And
really cool.
Loads of people say that like maths and music go together, and I adored maths like so much. And yeah, I think it's true because I was involved in every music society,
Yeah.
I just did every extra curricular
But you must have
activity.
had a massive drive for that because I mean, like, not everyone has that
I
level of
just-
energy, you know. So where do you sort of draw that from?
Oh god. I think I want to say my family probably, because we're all like it.
Yeah.
Like my parents have worked their backsides off like forever. They had 5 jobs each, like just trying to support us through our schools, and they just worked all the time, and I think that's where we got it from. And yeah, being one of 5, we're all reasonably successful in our jobs. Working all over the world. But I think that's my upbringing. I was very fortunate.
And when it comes to like learning things,
Yeah.
learning something new, I don't know
Yeah.
if I put down a new piece of technology in front of you and I said, "Can we figure this out?" or a new recording technique,
Yeah.
like what do you have any like go-to things that you've sort of noticed over the years in terms of how you learn new
For
skills?
me, if I don't know, say if I'm doing a show in London or whatever, and I have to, because often you get scheduled for one show where you like shadow the person, and then the next show you'll do it with them watching, and then the next show is you on your own. For me, it's watching somebody do it, and my eyes are just like, exactly what are you doing, where, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you give me, I don't know, something to read, it doesn't go in. Like if I can't sit and read a new article about a piece of equipment because it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't go in, it doesn't excite
sit with
me.
you. Yeah.
So I think it's actually doing stuff that.
And
where I
did
learn.
you know that straight away? Did you know that from when, you know, you mentioned you're 16, you're really enthusiastic. Did you know back then that was how you started to learn, or did
No.
you develop that in your later years?
I've only realised recently.
Yeah.
Like,
Last week, you
there's
know.
people that can sit and read articles all day.
Yeah.
That's not me. I just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of me thinks that I should get excited about reading loads of magazines and whatever. I
Yeah.
try. I've got a whole pile of Sound on Sound sitting over there.
Yeah.
But I do read it because I want to know
Yeah, it's
stuff.
interesting.
But my brain isn't like, oh, I should be reading lots of articles today, because it just doesn't go in.
And I think this is one of the things that as aspiring creatives or for just anyone in the creative community is really important to understand your learning style.
Yeah.
And I think for some people, they can hit their head against a brick wall and think, oh my God, I'm not getting it. But maybe they haven't tried the right approach.
Exactly. And I still don't think I found the right indie way to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't, But then, because I often think if I watch somebody else do it, I'm like, oh, maybe I can't do that. And it's not until I'm actually left on my own that I kind of surprise myself.
Yeah.
And I can actually do stuff. Because it's like when you're watching somebody else do it, you kind of overthink, like, oh, but are they thinking about something else when they're actually doing that? Like, it's not all about the skill and that sort of stuff. But,
yeah.
And then if people leave me on my own to do stuff, I'm absolutely fine, because you just kind of get on with it and you actually realise how much you know, I think, which is very annoying a lot of the time because you just doubt yourself and everything. But
so this brings us perfectly onto this topic. Yeah, this old chestnut.
Yeah.
I think it's really important though, because the whole point of this sort of interview series is like there is so much information in the world about craft.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to do something in Pro Tools or you want to learn how to use a new piece of gear, we can go on YouTube, we can, read a sound on sound. There's information out there.
Yeah.
But people don't talk about soft skills. And I think self-doubt is one of those things that really for anyone that's in a creative community or just in the general world anyway, you're going to encounter that. So talk to me about maybe some instances where you have maybe doubted yourself. Because I think people, they feel this self-doubt and they think that they're alone.
I think everyone deals with it in different ways. And I think a lot of people are what I call extroverted introverts. Because
what do you mean by this?
Well, I'm very bubbly and very enthusiastic about everything. But on the inside, I'm shaking in my boots. Yeah. It's just,
But that's it's part
but about
of the...
things that people think that I can do. And I know deep down, way deep down, that I probably can do it. But it's like the first time I got offered a show in the West End, I was like, oh, great. Like, this is amazing. Like, this is going to be the best thing ever. And then I accept it. And then it's like, oh, I've actually got to go and do this now.
Yeah, the novelty wears off.
It's like the whole journey of actually getting to the theatre. But it's like, you can't do anything until you're actually there. Like, what's the point in worrying? Because you literally can't do anything. But
this is the thing. So when we think about it now and we're not in the moment of that level of stress, it totally makes sense. It's like it's totally beyond your control. Just
and that's literally what goes through my brain. I'm like, what is the point in me stressing out? What's the point in me worrying?
Have you got to do that like in the moment yet? Are you at that point, or it's still like? Because I think normally anyone will feel some nerves definitely before.
I was doing a show the other day, and I was like, why are you stressing out about this? Why you've done it already? You're literally doing the same thing in a different space with different people. Stop telling yourself that you just don't know anything.
So how do you come to that realization? Is that just immediate, or is there a process you have to get yourself into that sort of thinking?
I mean, it's a constant thing, I think. It's just as soon as I know that I'm thinking that I can't do it, it's just me then rethinking, oh wait, but you actually can. And then it's like, oh no, but you can't. It's just a cycle until I actually do it. Then I realise that I actually am absolutely fine. What
would your advice be? Because I think there are some people that will, especially when, we've all been there when you're starting out, that, you do your first big job. I remember like when I first went into London, we were talking about earlier, and I was like freaking out. Yeah.
I think people handle it in different ways though. Like some people need to completely get out of the environment and just take a breather. And for me, it's getting to know the people that I'm working with, because if you suddenly have like a normal chat, I completely calm down. And then if they actually see like you laughing or you whatever, because they'll gather that you're nervous. Everyone does, and if you meet someone and they're nervous.
I think that's something else as well. You project a different version of reality. You think, oh, they're so good and they know so much stuff that I don't know. You create like a difference between them and yourself. And then when you
But
realise
you're
that,
not, you've all come from the same place.
yeah.
Like, yes, some people may have not studied it at uni. Some people have come from proper tech colleges. Some people have, I don't know, trained themselves or done something else at uni and then got into it later. But you're all doing the same job.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they may have been doing it a few years longer, but you're there for a reason. They've asked you to do that job for a reason. And that's what people keep telling me. I'm great at giving other people advice, just not myself.
I think we all fall into that category in some ways.
But it's literally, what's the point in worrying if you literally cannot do anything about that thing?
And when, let's say, for example, you hit a moment of overwhelm, what's your go-to strategy for dealing with, a problem situation?
Talk to people. Well, yeah.
So would you say then it's important to maybe have a network? Do you think that's something
I think so.
You would advise for other people?
Yeah, I think I've been lucky with who I've met and made connections with over the years.
Yeah.
And it's often I can actually talk to the people who have offered me jobs and just be like, I'm freaking out about this.
Yeah.
Because if you can't talk about it, then it's just like an inner struggle. You've just got to let it out. If it's bothering you that much, then just talk about it, because it's probably not even that bad.
Yeah. And I think confidence is a skill.
Yeah.
It's not something you're born with. It's something that you have to learn and exercise that muscle.
I think even if you're not feeling confident inside, if you're portraying that you are confident, it helps a million times. Because I come across quite confident to a lot of people, and I'm probably not inside. In fact, I know I'm not. I don't know, it just helps in the situation because they get to know you better. Because if you go into a job and you're not talking because you're really shy, but maybe you're like that as a person, fine. But if they can't gather a bit of your personality or a bit of you, they don't have anything to hold on to at the start.
For sure.
And it's not until you start up that first conversation, probably not even about work stuff, just like about yourself or asking them questions. Yeah, so it's not until you give them that thing to hold on to that you actually build up a connection with people. Like, it may be, not even about work stuff, but I don't know, it's just something to talk about.
Well, that's interesting. So what I'm getting from that is, if you are feeling nervous, just try and create a rapport straight away, because you'll feel straight away better because you've given them something, they'll give something back, and what you're looking for is connection.
They're probably feeling kind of the same because they're meeting you. They don't know what you're like. They don't know if you're any good or if you're any bad or whatever. But if you actually talk to them and they feel like they trust you, then it'll be great.
Yeah. It's always a difficult thing, especially in this industry. You meet people all the time. You're having to work with new teams like every day. And I remember for me, that was quite difficult. It was very draining. At the end of the day, you'd come home and be like, you do another job and it's like you've got to learn 50 people's names.
But I think that's 80% of the job that we do, actually getting on with people. Because if you can't get on with someone, then you can't really go anywhere, because in the stuff that we do, it's all client-based. And you have to build up your clients and you have to get on with people. And if you're in a team, you have to be a team player. And if you're in a session, you have to be able to run the session and have confidence, show confidence, so that they trust you and they know that you're capable of running the session. Like, even if you're not the next best producer or whatever, but they know what you're capable of, then...
I think sometimes as well, I mean, I've heard this before, that people choose personalities. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you might not be the best engineer or the best photographer or the best whatever, but we can get on with you. You're approachable. And I think also for the arts, like especially in your industry, for music production, when a musician steps up to an instrument or a vocalist steps up to the mic, they're releasing a bit of themselves. And sometimes they can't just do that with anyone. It has to be the right person that can get that correct performance out of them.
And that's what I love, working in studio with vocalists who are incredibly nervous. I love trying to make them calm and just get their best performance out of them. Because when I was working at a studio last year, I joined with Red Letter Days, which offered experiences that people could buy. And it was a lot of like vocal to backing track or like singer-songwriter things that somebody bought for somebody else's birthday or something. So they'd never been in a studio before. They'd never recorded anything. It's their first time ever recording. And you kind of just got to step back and just like calm the person down first, and just kind of build a relationship with them. Like forget about any of the sound stuff. They don't know anything about that. And you've just got to build that trust between them that they then feel calm and will give their best performance. But I kind of enjoy that in the studio.
I think it's a really good set of skills.
Yeah.
And then there's also one other thing that I think about as well. And I keep thinking about, starting out, because we've all been there and we can probably remember it better than maybe people that have been in the industry for 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
I think when we look at idols, and we do idolize people, we think that they are so different from us. They never make any mistakes. They don't have any failures and things like that. But that again is like knowledge that I really want to sort of break through with this podcast and like just tell people the experiences that you are having at the beginning of your career are exactly the same as the experiences people are having 20, 30, 40 years on in their careers.
Yeah.
So to go on to the topic of failures and things, can you think of any times that things maybe haven't gone right for you, but they've been a really valuable learning experience in hindsight?
I don't know. I don't know if this is going to sound really pretentious or whatever. I don't think I've had any big failures because I kind of go into every job with I'm going to give it what I can kind of thing. And the jobs that I don't think I can do, I turn down, which is really bad. And we kind of spoke about this a little bit earlier, but that's my main, I think if I had to talk about a failure, that's what it is that I doubt myself enough to turn down a job, of which is not the way forward. And that's the thing I've had to learn over the last 3-5 years, whatever, is that if somebody asks you to do a job, they ask you for a reason and they trust your skills and they trust your ability to actually be able to do that job. Otherwise they wouldn't ask you. I turned down a massive job a couple of years ago in Paris, and that's the one thing that I will always think about. Why did I turn it down? Because I thought I couldn't do it.
So what would you say to someone that's in that situation? They're approached by, I don't know, a big client.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest jobs they've ever done.
Yeah.
And they start doubting themselves. They think, oh man, maybe I can't do this.
Yeah, but they can, because otherwise they wouldn't have asked them in the first place. And if you get there and you realise that you can't do something, like, it's not the end of the world. Like, I've only realised that recently that you can actually say, I don't know how to do that. And they're not going to get annoyed. But like, why would they? And if they do, then they're not worth it.
And I think sometimes when I've been really stuck, I have been in situations where people have asked something and you don't have the equipment, you don't have the expertise, whatever reason.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't do the job, as in it's not worth going on the job.
Yeah.
It means maybe they want you to do something and you're going to have to figure out a creative solution to the problem.
Yeah.
For me, I find that like doing that quickly is a stress.
Yeah.
Like I can produce the results.
Yeah.
Producing them quickly under pressure is difficult.
But I feel often in those sort of situations that you actually realise how much you do know and you kind of surprise yourself. Like maybe you'll realise that you don't know a lot of stuff, but what you do know, it kind of reassures you, I guess.
And does that give you more confidence for the next time when someone asks?
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever think back, do you know what, man, I didn't think I could do that, but I did it? Because you were saying to me, like, now you've just got this policy where you'll just try and take on as many challenges. As soon as you start feeling nervous, it's almost like a sign. It's like, well, this is probably worth doing.
Yeah. Because before I started working in London, I'd only worked like locally.
Yeah.
And I'd done a couple of things in London, but not like working in the West End or whatever.
Yeah, it's big stuff.
Yeah, and thinking about, let's say, theatre work or whatever, I'd only worked in theatres around Oxford. And then I worked in London, did a few months there, and then I came back to Oxford. All my stress had gone because I'd done something harder and I'd done something more professional or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like coming back to Oxford, it's like the stuff that I used to stress about and I used to worry about, and I don't know, it's just a different mindset of once you've done something like the step above.
Yeah.
If you then work the step below again or whatever, it just seems a lot easier, I think. When it's exactly the same job, it's just working with more people, building up your confidence. And that's what it is.
This is it, really. So this is another quote that I'm going to take from someone else, but it's not confidence, but courage you need in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because confidence stems from having done it before.
You just got to do that one job.
Yeah.
And you've just got to say yes that first time.
And walk into the dark.
Yeah. I remember watching a film. It's probably a really cheesy film. What was it? We Bought a Zoo, of which their last... It's great. It's great. Their last quote in that was, give yourself 20 seconds and just say yes. Like, why not? Why would you not do it?
The thing is, with all these decisions as well, they are literally holding our future progression back.
You never know what's going to come of it.
Mm.
And if I often read like job descriptions, get loads of emails with job descriptions and new jobs that are out there, and I often read them and like, I can't do that job. But it's just worded in a different way that makes you think that you can't do something, and it's not until you actually meet the person and talk about it that it's really not that bad.
I think that's the other thing as well. I've noticed this with people's job titles.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone loves a good, complicated job title to make themselves feel.
My website's been sat there for a year. I just haven't done it. Because, I don't know, you get those people who sell themselves on the image rather than their skills, which I try and not be like that.
Yes.
Yes, I love a good Instagram post.
Yeah, we all do.
Love a good Facebook post and all that. But for me, I do it more so for me than for other people.
Yeah. This brings us on to an interesting topic though. Yeah. Instagram, for example, it's like people's highlight reel. Okay, so you are seeing the best bits of their life.
20% of what they're actually like.
And comparing it to your everyday with, I don't know, a broken down car and like clients going crazy and maybe you've missed out on a job or an opportunity.
But you'll never see that.
And you'll never see that on their gram. No. So are there any strategies or thoughts on like social media? I mean, does it ever like bother you? Does it ever get you down, or do you have strategies for managing?
I use it a lot. To be fair, I used to use it a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I kind of used to love the whole image thing.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel better, and I was getting a few more clients from it as well because I actually realised what I was doing.
It is a good way to get seen, yeah.
It is, and it is a confidence builder. But I think now I've kind of stepped away from it a little. I still use it a lot, but stepped away from it a little bit because, not on purpose, but I guess, I don't know, I'm just working a bit more to actually use it. Take everything with a bit of a pinch of salt, just because nothing's real on there.
Yeah.
It's just a complete front.
Yeah.
And I think more people are realising that. And a lot of people on social media now talk about that. And they talk about how they're only showing the best side of themselves and nobody knows anyone on there. But it just intrigues me. Just like...
So, I mean, there's a lot of talk at the moment around social media addiction. Yeah. We won't go like too deep into the topic, but do you find that you're sort of addicted to your phone?
I wouldn't say addicted, but obsessed, yes.
Is there a difference?
No. If I could just sit on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is really bad. And I know that I'm doing it. And I know that I shouldn't be doing it. But it's just procrastination.
This is interesting. So like one of the other things I think is so important for creative people, especially if you're self-employed, you've got to be really on it with your organisation. Yeah. And like definitely from knowing you for a few years now, I think you are a very organised person.
Thank you. I love being organised. Excel spreadsheets in my life. Yeah. Love it so much. Yeah.
Man, I'm not alone now. This is great. We're gonna talk some Excel.
Yeah. Excel. Yes.
But I mean, like, how do you stay organised? And do you have any like strategies that you might...
To-do lists, Excel spreadsheets, just trying to keep on top. Google Calendar, the way forward. I mean, it's always been the way, but yeah. I don't know, it's just being aware of what you need to get done and when you need to get it done by. I used to be a lot more on top of to-do lists than I am now. And
what do you do when you've got more in your sort of in tray than your out tray? Things are starting to slip behind. You've now got 30, 40 items on your to-do list and it's looking pretty grim. What would Indi do in that
That's
that
what
situation?
I'm still trying to work out.
This is life.
That's literally,
Yeah. Same here.
It's just trying to find that motivation to do it. Because obviously self-employed world is quite a lonely world.
Yeah. You don't have to answer to anyone, get up on time, etc.
Exactly. And it's finding
Slippery.
that, and obviously my little barn studio is at home, and it's not finding the motivation, but just like...
Yeah. The kitchen's only over there. The TV's only over there. Yeah.
Exactly. And you have to be like, right, my workday starts... Well, this for me anyway. My workday starts at 10. Yes, it's later than some other people's.
No.
But for me, it's start at 10, finish, well, whenever.
Yeah.
But then it's, but I could go and do this. But I could go and do this. And that's where my brain has to be like, no, like, you've got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of feels a bit like school homework, like when you come home from school and you have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, actually doing that, it's finding different places to work. Like I might go for a day and go and work somewhere different, and actually see people, because obviously working here, it's just me. And I kind of get into a little zone of like, I don't know, it's just no motivation to do it.
So
but that's not because I can't do it. It's just a complete cloud being like...
It's like a mental block.
Yeah.
So would you say that that's your main thing, like change the environment? That's really helpful?
I think so, and talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't shut yourself off from the outside world. And it helps the people that I talk to are kind of doing the same sort of thing or getting into freelance stuff, so they kind of understand.
Yeah.
It's hard though, because you're your own boss, and I love that. But some people may find that harder.
Yeah, there is an element of discipline that you need. You need to
it's
like
your own,
know yourself.
You're your own marketing manager. You're your own A&R. You're your own whatever, publicist, whatever. And you've got to keep on top of everything. Like finances, everything. It's just... But I love it.
So you mentioned about like, talk to people. And again, me stealing quotes from other people.
Yeah.
I read somewhere in a blog online that you are the sum total of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
100%.
And this really interested me, because that made me spend a lot of time thinking about who I spend my time with. Yeah. And if you're hanging around with people that aren't the most positive or aren't the most driven, they can sort of pull you down.
But you don't realise. But that's definitely true, I think.
So what are your thoughts on this, and how do you firstly, how do you find your community? And what sort of personalities are valuable for you, and what do you need from people?
I've been very lucky in that because obviously I've dipped into a lot of different
circles.
Yeah. I think I've been very lucky, and I've kind of found a person per thing that I do.
That's great.
Like studio stuff. The guy that owned the studio that I worked at.
Yes.
I was very close with him for years, and then I started assisting on video shoots and photography shoots, and there's a guy that I still talk to, and we catch up, and I don't know, just gives me advice about that sort of stuff. And then the theatre, I have certain people per theatre that I can talk to, but I have about 5 people that I know if I need advice or something, or even if I need work, I can go to them, and they know what I can do and what I can't do. Mm-hmm. And I know that they won't be like, oh, but she's only asking me, like using me as a contact, whatever.
Yeah. It's like a proper relationship you have with them. Yeah. That's really important, actually, like building up these little guilds, where we can help each other, because I mean, that's really valuable. I love the way that you said that, you can go to them for work, but that's not what it's for.
No,
but they understand the struggle. They understand, like, oh man, it has been a quiet month. It's like, well, I know someone. I'm working on something.
Of which happened because I went to a certain person, photography guy, a couple of weeks ago, and he happened to ask me if I wanted to assist on a film shoot that he was doing.
Nice.
And then me edit the video, of which I wouldn't call myself a video editor, but he knows what I can and I can't do, and he knew that the job was right for what I was capable of doing. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, but you may not enjoy it and whatever. And I was like, I actually really enjoy doing that. And it wasn't until I actually told him that he was like, oh, great, well, I'll give you this job then. Which was nice.
That's brilliant. So, I mean, for people that are starting out and, that are very much in that experience of they've started maybe freelancing and it is a lonely experience, or maybe they're employed and they're just looking to expand out. Yeah. What would you say is a good way of finding like-minded people?
I think the only way, like, I hate to be the whole like, oh, you need to network, blah, blah, blah. You do, but I haven't been to a single networking event. Some people just don't do well. And I can talk to people that I don't know and that sort of thing. But some people, they just don't enjoy that. And if you don't enjoy that, that's fine. But I think the jobs that you do get make connections in those jobs. Because as soon as I got my first show in London, the guy that I was working with passed my name on to somebody else. And I've had work ever since because they just,
Yeah, that's another testament though to like speak to everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I remember when I started out, and perhaps actually thinking about it, I don't do this enough now.
Yeah.
But you know, you get on set and I would be talking to everyone.
Yeah.
I try and make conversation with as many people as I can, remembering names, giving business cards.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, people do buy from people, don't they? And
Completely.
they want that personal touch. So yeah, that's
But I've
really
never
valuable.
been a I don't know, when I get onto a job I have to talk to everyone. I've never been that sort of person.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just kind of what I do, I
Yeah.
think. I don't talk to everyone, no, because I sometimes appear shy, but it's until that one person gets to know you, then other people will see you like having jokes or
Gravitate
whatever.
towards you, yeah,
and then
yeah.
you kind of just get to know everyone.
Mhm.
Like, I did a show at the end of August, and it was like a week and a half long show. We had to work a team of 6 of us just on radio mics. We hadn't met each other ever, none of us. Like, we'd never worked together, whatever. And we then had to do this massive show of 220 people in the cast with 80 radio mics with people that we didn't know and we'd never met them. So from day one, it was like 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. for like 10 days, whatever it was. And we had to get on. There was no question about it. And because we all had the same mindset, we just got on. Like, click of the fingers, we got on from .0. And we were all shocked. Everyone was shocked that we didn't know each other before we met, before we started working together.
For sure.
And they were like, you must have known your team
No way.
longer than about 3 days. And we were like, we literally met on Monday.
That's
like,
amazing.
we were
yeah.
all sat, we all met at the coffee shop. We were all sat in different sections because we had no idea what anyone looked like. And then I text the lady, I was like, I'm the one in the striped t-shirt, where are you?
Yeah, I'm
and she
sitting
still
right next to you.
It literally was. She was sat like opposite me. And I was like, hi, we're going to work together. We never met. But you've just got to, I don't know, just get on with
Speak
people.
to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just be nice to everyone. Like, life's too short to not be nice.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about the topic of fear and embracing fear, expanding your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I think we've basically touched on that though. One of the concepts that I started to notice was your comfort zone sort of, if you don't step out of it routinely, sort of closes around you.
Yeah.
So it's not just a case of, I did this thing once. You want to, as often as you can, be pushing those boundaries.
Yeah. But it's not until you make that first jump that you then realise that you can actually do it. Yeah. And that's petrifying. Doing that first thing.
It's definitely in what you just said. Just talk to someone though, because I think sometimes in our heads we think that it's got to be all or nothing. But it's like, well, no, just talk to one person. Yeah. And that slowly drip feeds you getting on with loads of people. Do you know what I mean? You talking to those 8 people that you were working with. Yeah. Started with a conversation where you spoke to one. Yeah. And you probably just said hello. Yeah.
I remember the first like show that I did in a regional theatre, not in like a, I don't know, little theatre. I'd never met the guy that I was then going to work with, and that was 5 years ago, and he's still offering me jobs now. He's my theatre person. And we worked together the other day, and I don't know, you just build relationships with people that you just know that you work well together. And if he ever had a job, he would ask me, and if I ever had a job, I would ask him.
Yeah. People. Yeah. It's all about people. What are your takes on mentorship? Do you think that that's something that's very important? Because you mentioned it's really helpful when you're on a job to watch someone, observe from someone. Yeah. And I know you've said that you have like go-to people in the different fields.
I think that's literally what it is that I've had mentors without realising in all the different fields that I go into. Because I love sitting and watching somebody do something, and then I do it and learning from watching people instead of learning from reading or whatever. I'll learn by watching somebody do it.
For sure.
And I think that's what it is that they take you under their wing. And that's why I think I've been assistants for a lot of people in the first few years that I was actually doing other work. And I really enjoyed that because you learn on the job. Like I remember the first studio session that I did in London with one of the mastering engineers from Metropolis. And like he asked for just like a student. And then he was saying that he was glad that he got me when I turned up to the studio. And I was like, we've never worked together. But he kind of just knew because he knew me as a person. And from then we just built a relationship because, I don't know, I guess I just had that drive in the studio to actually learn and passion to want to know everything.
Yeah.
And just be the best at what you can do.
Yeah.
Like, why not aspire to be the best at everything?
Yeah. That is really interesting as well because a few people that have been on the podcast have said they really see the value in like shadowing and when they've assisted. And definitely when I think back, actually, my most valuable work learning experience was I turned up to a job where I thought I was going to be the main sound recordist.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I was the assistant and a boom operator for someone else. And at the time I was like, sort of hurt my ego a bit. I was like, oh man, well, am I not good enough to be? Yeah, I can go if you want. And he's like, no, I could really use your help. You know, we will need another pair of hands. And that was the most valuable learning experience I've ever had. Like seeing how someone else did the same thing, because you think you know, but you know so little. So like watching a pro at work, it's just wonderful. Yeah.
But I think it's great in reverse as well, when you have somebody, I don't know, that you're teaching. And I've tutored a few people. I love it because it kind of reassures you that you actually know a lot and they appreciate you teaching them. And I don't know, it's just that role reversal thing of you were once in that position and you kind of understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just builds confidence. And
I think that's so important though, because I think in the creative industries as well, there is a certain approach that you need to adopt to actually make sure that we're not just talking at people. And the word lecture, talking at someone, I don't feel that's very useful in the modern day.
No.
And I think if you can really make sure that the student has understood, when you're like reading something or you hear something again that you thought you knew, but then you understand it and you have that realization moment, you're like, wow.
It's like when you power revise for an exam or something, you don't really understand it. You know it and you know enough to get you through the exam, but you don't actually understand it and actually apply it to real life.
And I think that's the difference between the sort of academic study of a creative subject and doing it.
Yeah.
The thing is also, like, if you're in that sort of shadowing environment, it's a safe environment.
Yeah.
You're close enough to be doing it for real.
Yeah.
You're one touch away from the console or from whatever, but you're able to observe.
You're not actually there yet. You don't actually make that next step to actually knowing everything 100%. And they trust that you're on it. And you know that inside is that if you turn up to a session and you're really nervous or something, like, yes, nerves are going to be there, but something's not right if you're worrying about everything, because you know if you're on it.
That's wise words. Yeah.
And I think you're never going to be 100% on it, because if you do a different job every day, a different session every day or whatever, there's uncertainty there. Yeah. But you know if you're on it, if once you meet the person, you can just smash it out. Like, I did a show and I knew that I was on it. I don't want that to sound cocky, but
no.
I knew that when I was doing it, I knew what I was doing. And I knew that I understood what I was doing. Like, I knew the EQ that I was doing sounded good. I knew the compression I was doing sounded good or whatever.
You can enjoy it more as well, can't you? You're like, wow.
And the stress, like the whole day was stressful. One of the most stressful days I've done in a while. But it was a different kind of stress. It was time stress rather than me not knowing what I was doing. And when I actually came to the show, there was someone else stood behind me And after the show, he was like, you were on it. And I was like, yeah, I actually kind of felt great about that show.
Yeah, wonderful.
Which is nice, because you don't always get that.
Yeah.
I don't want that to come across in an arrogant way. But
No, not at all. I think, but this is the thing. It's
just
interesting.
That self-belief thing of, you know, when you can actually do something.
Yeah.
But you know if you've done a good edit.
For sure.
And you know if you've done a good mix. You know if you've done a good recording. But it's that thing now of, I know that I can do a good recording.
Yeah.
And you know you are capable of a good edit. Like, if somebody asks you to do a specific type of edit or something, you may not know how to do it 100%, but you know you can teach yourself how to do it.
Yeah, you know the process.
Exactly.
You know the craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to be learning. There's always stuff to learn. And if you want to be the best, there's always stuff you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you should strive for anything less than that. Yeah.
So when it comes to downtime, do you switch off?
No.
And what are your methods for like recharging? I mean, like
what's
your go-to when it gets a bit too much? Because you do work hard.
Yeah, but I think I found it, I don't know, being in the self-employed world is a weird world to be in. Because
there's no off.
Exactly. And if you want to go and do something, you can go and do it. Like, I'm going to Thorpe Park tomorrow because I can. And it's like, yeah, but when I used to have a part-time job and freelance, I didn't stop because I would work and then do other stuff. Whereas now, because it's all freelance, it's like if I want to schedule in something else to go and do, then I'll go and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just a continuous work, chill out, work.
Yeah.
But it's not really chill out.
Which is a nice balance. But yeah, so
like I don't feel like I need to take a couple of weeks off to kind of relax, like a lot of people do in other jobs or go on holiday or whatever, because I kind of just schedule it. Like if I have a hard week doing a super hard show, or I don't know, a week full of intense sessions, then I might take it easy for a couple of days or something. But it's still working.
Yeah.
But it might be easier work, but you're still doing it. You're still trying to find work. You're still contacting people. You're still, yeah.
You can't fully switch off. I do, yeah. No. I do appreciate that, like, especially with phones and things.
Which I find quite hard, because if I want to do something, I'll do it.
Mm.
And if I want to sit on Instagram, I'll sit on Instagram.
Do you have like what are your go-tos? I mean, you've mentioned that you're quite close with your family and stuff, and you mentioned Thorpe Park. So like, yeah. I mean, will you?
I've never been a person with a big group of friends that I'll go and hang out with, because I've always been a massive workaholic, of which I regret sometimes, and sometimes I don't, because I don't know.
Yeah, look at what you've built.
I've never been that sort of person, but I have my close friends, and I know that we'll do anything for each other. But yeah, my family's very close. The people that I'm with, we are very close.
On a Friday night, are you going to be working? Would you catch a movie?
I don't think I have that end of the week kind of feeling. I don't have that, oh, it's the weekend. I don't have that, oh, it's Wednesday, it's hump day.
Yeah.
I don't,
oh,
it's a Monday.
That is absolutely freelance, though.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Like, if I'll work on a Sunday, but people's like, oh, rest on a Sunday. I'm like, why?
This is one of the things that I'm really sort of interested in now.
Yeah.
Having worked different jobs, employed, freelance, I find that I started to get to the point where all of the days sort of drew into one another. Yeah. And not in a positive way. No. Not in a, oh, wow, I'm smashing it, I'm getting so much stuff done. It was like, I haven't had a day off in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Days get wasted a lot, because if you don't set yourself those things to do specifically each day, then you're just kind of sat there being like, oh, I should be doing this. Oh, but I need to do that as well. And I find that I get distracted a lot by the different things I need to do. So I'll dip into one thing, I'll dip into another thing. I just don't get anything done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not until you have those deadlines that...
Nothing like a deadline.
And I'm not a leave everything to the last minute kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, the pressure I kind of do strive under, but I've never been that sort of person that'll pull an all-nighter or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I need sleep. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, I don't know, it's not me.
Yeah.
I've just never been that sort of person.
But you must have an element of organisation, because I mean, like, you're going to get that work done before the inevitable pull in the all-nighter or panic ensues.
Once I know that it has to get done, I'll do it. But if I don't set myself those personal deadlines, then it just doesn't work for me. Because I'll be like, oh, but I've got another couple of days to do that. I'll do it tomorrow.
And strategies for that, would it be to-do list, calendar and stuff? Or
my brain being like, just do it. Put your phone away, just do it. And there's been a lot of that in this self-employed time, because you're on your own. I'm sat at my desk doing whatever, and I'm just like, just do it. Just
Are you good with keeping up with like self-care, like sleep, making sure you've like eaten well, all that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, I love cooking. So if that's my way of procrastinating.
No, but that's great, because that's quite therapeutic as well. I mean, so
if I wasn't in this industry, I'd be a chef.
No way.
Just because I love it. And yeah, that's my procrastination.
Yeah.
Is cooking a nice lunch.
That's a great way of like spending the time. You make sure that you've eaten.
But it takes like an hour.
I think
it's just like an hour out of my day.
But this is brilliant. Like, this might actually go down as advice for people. Do you know what I mean?
Cook.
Take up cooking.
Cook. Yeah. It's
Probably.
Great. I'm not a baker. I'm a nice hearty meal kind of
So what's a good lunch at the Barn Studio?
Today I did a chicken and cannellini bean broth.
Nice.
It was very nice. Highly recommend Gusto boxes. They are the way forward. No, but I would never skip a meal.
Well, that is sensible.
And sleep.
Yeah.
If I know I have lots of work to do, I will make sure I sleep.
See, that's brilliant, because I mean, I think there's so many people that would be like, I've got so much work to do. The only way I can get it done is not sleep.
I can't do it. I just get too tired. I tried it when I was doing my dissertation, and I managed to about 3 a.m. And I just can't do it, because I'm just not the greatest kind of person when I don't sleep. And people know that. Yeah. I'm either, if I'm not in a good mood, I'm either hungry or I'm tired.
Yeah.
So feed me and make me sleep.
That
I'm fine.
Such a good bit of life advice. I remember someone saying that to me, actually. Like, they're like, no, you can't say you've got a real problem until you've slept and had a good meal.
Yeah. Why would you not? Like, you need food, and you need, in this sort of lifestyle, you need to be on top of yourself. And if you want to go for a walk, because it'll make you feel better. 100%. Like, if you're not in the right headspace, just get out. Just, even if you've got loads of work to do, just get out of that space, because it will help. Because you're not doing yourself any good sat staring at a screen.
Yeah.
Like, even if it means you'll take an hour, 2 hours out of your workday doing something else, it will help. And you may be stressing loads or whatever about the work, but your stress will be reduced.
Yeah, which will make you feel better.
Yeah.
Which in the end is the dream.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to a bit of a quick fire round, if that's cool.
Yeah.
So we won't spend so long on the questions.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Stop doubting yourself, because you can do it, and actually listen to what people are telling you about that, because everyone told me I could do it, and I think deep down I knew I could, but I didn't. And there was there still is a wall that I haven't quite broken down yet. But you can do it. If people tell you you can. Otherwise they wouldn't ask you in the first place.
You can.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
What's the most valuable thing you've learned so far?
Just get on with people. Because if they can trust your personality and your sense of humour and that sort of thing, it goes a million miles. Yeah, it's just building that trust and being nice. Like I said earlier, life's too short not to.
And is there anything that I haven't asked that I should have?
I used to have 64 African land snails.
No
Fact
way.
of the day.
64?
64 African land snails. Yep. We started with 2. We ended with 64.
Wow. Did they breed or did you acquire more?
We thought we had 2 boys. We did not. We had trays and trays of snails.
That should have been the first question.
Fact of the day.
I'm sorry about that.
That's such a bad fact. I'm sure I could tell you something more
that's going in. Indeed, that's going in.
Oh dear. What else can I tell you, Mark?
Yeah. That's going to get us some serious views from the Association of African
Indy with
Lands.
the 64 African land snails. What else can I tell you?
Is there anything you feel for like the audience being creatives? If you were listening to this as an audience member, is there anything that like maybe we haven't touched on that you feel like, oh man, you know, it would have been good if we spoke about this?
I don't think so, but it's just the thing I'd wish I'd always told myself, and just believe in yourself and just do it. And that thing of like, if somebody asked you to do something, just say why not? Why would you not do it?
Indy, that's awesome. Thank you so much
No
for
worries.
coming on board with this. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me.
And would you like to have a little plug if people want to find you?
I am every social media, Indi Productions, and indieproductions.com is my website. Music producer, sound engineer, work in theatre, do studio sessions.
Yeah. And fabulous with vocalists.
I love it.
There's-
Vocalists.
yeah.
Any vocalists out there? Yeah. Musical theatre. Love it.
Indy, thank you so much.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.
Very much.
So that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I do hope you found this one helpful. And if you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe and get notified when another episode drops. And the conversation doesn't have to stop here. You can check out our social links in the show notes. And I'd also love to hear your feedback. So feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. But for now, take care. And I hope to see you again on the Creative Venture Podcast.